Hello there everybody, my name is Dash, and I welcome you back to yet another devlog video for Disharmony, my rhythm game RPG. In the last video, I announced that the game now has a Steam page, but I waited till the end to share this information, so only about 8% of viewers actually saw it. Oops. Please wishlist the game on Steam, I'm desperate. So what's happened since the last video was published? Quite a lot, to be honest. The battle system somehow managed to break on me, and I've no idea why? Parts of it would no longer sync up with the music, the enemy's turn would occasionally just not happen at all, and some of the animations were messed up. I didn't even touch anything, I swear. Oh well. I decided that since I had to fix it anyways, I might as well make it look like less of an eyesore and fix some issues I've had with it. First of all, the old UI was ugly as sin. These big bulky buttons were at the bottom of the screen. They took up a lot of vertical space, and they weren't exactly visually pleasing. Many sprites and icons lacked readability, like these red notes on top of the bad apple's red background. The transition between menuing and playing was very harsh, and the player and enemy's HP were just basic text, completely lacking any appeal or character. How did I solve these issues? I made the buttons much smaller and placed them on the left side of the screen and aligned them vertically instead of horizontally. I also played more with the contrast of their colors so that you can very much more easily tell which option is selected. Nearly everything important now has a thin white outline to make sure that they always stand out from the background. There's now a transition between turns, where the menu icons turn into the rhythm bar and vice versa. I think it looks pretty cool. The player's health is now represented by a heart rather than text saying HP. The enemy's HP is represented by a skull. The amount of damage you're dealing to the enemy is represented by a sword. God damn, it almost looks like a game now. Also, while it might not be too interesting to talk about, I did have to essentially rewrite GameMaker's alarm system to work with delta timing, so that's cool. It was pretty easy actually. Moving on. Another thing that's happened is I got a new laptop. I'm going to be studying game design in Stockholm for another year, and having a laptop powerful enough to handle stuff like the Unreal Engine is very handy. Especially seeing as I'll have to spend many hours a week on a train. This means I have another computer to test new features on. Unlike my desktop PC, which uses an AMD Radeon RX 580 graphics card, my new laptop uses one of NVIDIA's RTX 3060 cards, so I'll be able to make sure that everything in the game looks as consistent as possible across both AMD and NVIDIA cards now. The laptop I ended up buying was the Asus TUF-F15, and I swear I didn't buy it because of the name. While it's not 100% related to the video, I'd like to mention that I have given my old, barely functioning laptop from 2014 to my sister Tay. Even though it was a hunk of junk that I haven't really used since sometime around 2017, it was still kinda sad to know it would be factory reset, and that I'd likely never use it again. The sentimentality I feel towards it doesn't have to do with the fact that I had tons of cherished memories with it or anything, but mostly the fact that it was the computer on which this whole project started. At the time of writing this, the date is December 8th, 2021. Which is exactly 6 years after I came up with the initial concept that would eventually become Disharmony. The original prototype of the game and its mechanics were made on that very laptop. I therefore find it somewhat, poetic, that the last game I played before resetting it was Disharmony, in a much more completed state than when I first came up with the idea for it all those years ago. And you know what? Despite its onboard graphics, its 1.7 GHz processor and its 4 GB of RAM, the game ran at a nearly flawless 60 FPS, only stuttering for about a second every few minutes. Although this weird particle glitch I found on my mom's laptop was also present here. Speaking of the game being in a more complete state, why don't we talk about that for a second? While lots and lots of content is still missing, and many things need a lot of polish, you can now, as of a few weeks ago, get through the game from start to finish without the use of any debug tools or save file modification. The ending isn't in the game yet. Several dungeons, enemies, and songs are missing, but you can start a new game and get from the first area to the last. So in a sense, the game is finished but not complete, and that's pretty cool. You know what else is cool? These new trees. Yeah, I had no idea how to segue to the next part. GameMaker has added a new layer category called Effect Layers. These are really fun to play with, and I've already thought of some new fun uses for them. Although, checking if they work the way you want them to when the camera moves around requires running the game, which means you have to wait for it to compile every time you make a change, which means I sometimes end up spending more time playing Animal Crossing or reading Dragon Maid while waiting for the game to load than I do actually working on it. Some parts of the game now have this neat CRT filter. They're not part of the effect layers or anything, it's a plugin with unique code completely separate from it. It looks pretty cool though, I especially like the S-video look. Elkhardt's tile set looked a little dull before, so I redrew it entirely. I also added these leaves blowing by, which adds to the autumny look of the area. Some parts of the game ditch the traditional pixel art look in favor of something a bit more visually complex, like this part I've shown several times in the past. These now have anti-aliasing applied to them, which makes them look really nice in my opinion. Speaking of things with higher detail than pixel art, my mum found this old binder full of my childhood drawings. Huh, I wonder if I could make use of these somehow. I've been working on several new cutscenes lately, both in the normal style and some making use of other styles. I was showcasing the game to one of my friends over Discord the other night, as he hadn't seen much of the game. When I was in this area, he asked if the axes on the wall could be picked up, to which I said, no, those are just there for decoration, to which he gave a slightly disappointed, aw. And you know what? Picking up items can be pretty fun, right? But how do I make picking things up fun? So yeah, you can now shake certain trees to pick up fruit. I initially struggled with coming up with different kinds of fruit you could pick up, as Tay, the character, not my sister, canonically dislikes apples. I like oranges a lot, so I thought that could be a fun fruit to pick, but wouldn't it be more fun to do something with a musical theme, since that's kind of what the game revolves around anyways? In the end, I decided on making a new fruit, called Blue, so the player can pick blues. Get it? Like the genre. I'll see myself up. And that's gonna do it for today's devlog, which I suppose is going to be the last devlog of the year. I meant the first video this year. I definitely didn't record this in December. I hate to repeat myself too often, but if you haven't already, wishlisting the game on Steam would give you my eternal thanks in return. It's totally free and will help boost the game up the ranks of Steam's quite harsh recommendation algorithm. Happy holidays to all of you. Okay, I might have recorded this in December. And as always, have a good day.